About the fact that she has blue eyes, and then she says, I have great genes, you know, because she's wearing jeans. But according to the woke people, this means that she's a white supremacist. It also doesn't help that her bra size is 36 KKK. And again, all the research shows that these trigger warnings don't even work. What they do is reinforce the idea that trauma is central to your identity and that you should let it define you instead of dealing with it, dispatching it, and moving beyond it. People wonder why the younger generations have so much anxiety. It's this stuff. Lots of stuff makes us uncomfortable. You know what makes me uncomfortable? This.
You'd think the Sydney Sweeney controversy would have faded by now. Apparently not. Critics online are still trying to turn a harmless commercial into a cultural scandal. Enter Bill Maher, who wasted no time dismantling the outrage. In classic Maher fashion, he mocked what he sees as the modern tendency to inflate minor moments into moral emergencies. And yes, it was sharp, unapologetic, and undeniably headline-grabbing.
Guys, I'm off the grid for August, but Bill Maher is getting close. I don't know if he'll get there, but he's getting closer to the promised land, maybe. Bill, come on.
And in other uncomfortable racial news, sad news, we found out this week that Sydney Sweeney is a Nazi. That was just... no, she's not. But you all see the ad that she's out there. This is a very important ad that we're seeing now. There she is, dressed like Jay Leno in all blue denim. And she talks about the fact that she has blue eyes, and then she says, I have great genes, you know, because she's wearing jeans. But according to the woke people, this means that she's a white supremacist. It also doesn't help that her bra size is 36 KKK.
Maher summed up the entire Sydney Sweeney uproar in one sarcastic sweep. To most viewers, the ad was a simple pun, playful, not political. But online critics interpreted it as something far darker. Maher leaned into the absurdity, joking that the internet treated Sweeney like a villain over a commercial punchline. His deadpan delivery turned the outrage itself into the joke. Bold? Absolutely. Subtle? Not at all. But that's the point.
I will say this, they should have been aware when they wrote this ad that this is what some people were going to think. I don't think they did it on purpose, but I also think it's pretty funny that all the online social justice girls are like, it's racist. There's no such thing as good genes. Right, and then you go on Tinder and swipe left on every bald guy.
Maher argued that creative work shouldn't require advance approval from what he calls the outrage police. In a free society, humor, even imperfect humor, is allowed. As long as something isn't illegal, debate it, critique it, parody it. But trying to erase it? That's where he draws the line. For Maher, free expression protects uncomfortable jokes just as much as safe ones. If speech only survives when no one's offended, it isn't freedom, it's compliance.
Finally, new rule, let's put a trigger warning on trigger warnings. A new study from Flinders University analyzed a dozen other studies on trigger warnings, and they all came to the same conclusion. They don't work. Not only don't they protect your feelings, but if you actually have been traumatized by something they're warning you about, a trigger warning makes it worse. It's like if seatbelts were made out of broken glass. It winds up just being a reenactment of the old joke, how do you keep a pussy in suspense? I'll tell you later.
Some critics even suggested the ad should have carried a trigger warning. Maher pushed back hard. Human psychology, he joked, guarantees that if you tell people don't watch, they'll watch immediately. In his view, warnings don't reduce attention, they amplify it. The more something is labeled dangerous, the more curiosity explodes. Instead of protecting viewers, he argued, the warning would have fueled even more outrage and viral attention.
For those of you who have been living on an offshore oil rig for the last 10 years and don't know what I'm talking about, a trigger warning is a kind of close your eyes, here comes an ouchie. That, like so many bad ideas in recent years, got started on college campuses. Students started demanding them so they could get ready in case something in a book or a piece of art or a history lesson reminded them that life included bad things and not just good, and sometimes people were mean. You can't have that just sprung on you. Several universities in recent years have even compiled lists of words we should be warned about to get rid of altogether, including balls to the wall. no can do, you guys, master, white paper, man in the middle, gyp, off the reservation, peanut gallery, insane, and virgin. Virgin?
Maher broadened the conversation to campus culture. Life doesn't come with trigger warnings, he said, so why should lectures? College students are adults preparing for the real world. If adulthood includes responsibilities, independence, and complex relationships, it should also include the ability to engage with uncomfortable ideas. Shielding people from difficult topics, he argues, doesn't build strength. It delays it.
Say virgin as opposed to what? Person experiencing not getting laid? You would think that one would take the cake for the oversensitivity, but the students at Brandeis said, "Hold my baby bottle." They made a list of expressions they don't want to hear because they remind them of violence. Terms like killing it, beating a dead horse, and yes, even trigger warning.
He also mocked what he sees as overly complicated language policing. Simple words get replaced with long, awkward substitutes in the name of sensitivity. The result? Confusion instead of clarity. Maher's point isn't about cruelty, it's about practicality. Communication should make meaning clearer, not turn into linguistic gymnastics that leave everyone decoding sentences instead of understanding them.
At one point, the trigger warning escaped from campus and got out into the real world, and now they're everywhere. Warnings at the top of Reddit threads and Facebook and Twitter and Instagram posts. Warnings before your favorite serial killer series, before news articles. Disney put an advisory on the movie Dumbo, warning viewers about stereotypes because otherwise you might think it was a documentary about flying elephants. Turner Classic Movies still wants to show you classic movies, but before we do, first there are a few parts we'd like you to feel really bad about. Now enjoy the show. Theaters do it now too. The storied Guthrie Theater in Minneapolis tipped off their crowd that a play included simulated gunshots, strobe lights, and haze. Haze.
Maher highlighted what he considers absurd examples of overwarning, even things like theatrical haze prompting caution labels. At what point, he asks, does precaution become parody? If harmless stage effects require alerts, are we protecting people or encouraging hypersensitivity? For Maher, not every mild discomfort warrants a cultural red alert.
And again, all the research shows that these trigger warnings don't even work. What they do is reinforce the idea that trauma is central to your identity and that you should let it define you instead of dealing with it, dispatching it, and moving beyond it. People wonder why the younger generations have so much anxiety. It's this stuff. Lots of stuff makes us uncomfortable. You know what makes me uncomfortable? This bullshit. People...
On trauma and resilience, Maher takes a firm stance. Healing comes from confronting difficulty with proper support, not avoiding reminders entirely. Constant warnings, he argues, can unintentionally prime people to expect distress before anything even happens. Instead of reducing anxiety, they may reinforce it. Growth, he suggests, comes from gradually building tolerance, not reinforcing avoidance.
People who start every conversation with, as a person who, as a survivor of, I'm triggered every time I see a trigger warning. Because I'm reminded of how weak my country has become. It's like wearing a mask on your mind. We keep finding out about new health problems kids have from being locked inside for 3 years, exposed only to filtered air during the COVID era. Turns out that's not healthy. But you know, there is an alternative way of dealing with anxiety. And let me put it in comic book terms so the kids can relate. Bruce Wayne, you're familiar, was afraid of bats. So what did he do? He became Batman. That's the way to go.
Facing fears in manageable steps is how confidence grows. Avoidance may feel protective, but over time it can shrink someone's comfort zone. Maher argues that resilience develops through exposure, dialogue, and lived experience, not insulation. Courage isn't built through cushioning every edge of life. It's built through navigating discomfort thoughtfully and steadily.
Honestly, we cannot go any further in the other direction we've been going in. We've already passed the point of parody. A student group in Australia recently called for trigger warnings on eye contact. Even the Taliban are okay with eyes. Eye contact? Were you traumatized as a child after losing a staring contest? What's next? Trigger warnings for conversations? Having everyone walk around with name tags that say, "Hi, I'm Dave. Please don't bring up doorknobs."
In the end, Maher sees the Sydney Sweeney controversy as another example of modern outrage culture spiraling beyond proportion. A light-hearted commercial became a cultural flashpoint. Demands for warnings multiplied. Language debates flared. Maher's conclusion is blunt. Life doesn't come bubble-wrapped, and pretending it should only make society more fragile. Debate ideas. Critique them. Laugh at them. But don't panic over every pun.